Close the chart. No, really, close it. I know exactly why you clicked. You want a number, a target. XRP to $10 by Friday. I get it, I do. But give me 60 seconds before you scroll back to the candles, because the biggest thing happening to XRP today isn't on any chart. It's in a room. Right now, Mido, while you're watching this, there's a room inside the White House being set up for a meeting, and what happens in that room could change what the coin in your wallet legally is. Not next month, not eventually, this afternoon. President Trump, a handful of senators, one table, and on that table sits the single word XRP holders have been begging Washington for since 2020: clarity. So before we touch a single price, let me show you what almost nobody is actually watching.
Real quick, so you know who's talking to you. On this channel, I'm the honest friend, not the hype man. So here's my honest friend disclaimer. None of this is financial advice. I don't know your situation, and I'm not going to pretend I can see the future. I've been in this long enough to have been wrong before. I've called things too early. I've watched This Is the One quietly turn into Nevermind. So I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. I'm here because I genuinely love this stuff and because we're better off figuring it out together than getting played one by one. Do your own research. Only risk what you can actually afford to lose. Cool? Let's go. Now, where do things actually stand as you're watching this? Let me take you straight into the room. Here's what we know.
This afternoon, Trump is meeting a group of senators at the White House, and the subject is the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. That's the biggest piece of crypto law the United States has ever gotten this close to passing. And the people in that room? Not random. You've got Senator Cynthia Lummis, probably crypto's loudest champion in Washington, and one of the architects of this whole bill. You've got Senator Tom Tillis. And you've got Senator Bernie Moreno, who told reporters they're there to brief the president on the bill, and it's, and I'm quoting him, path to success. Path to success. Say that back to yourself. That is not how people talk about a dead bill. That's how people talk when they can see the finish line. And the president? Insiders describe him as very engaged, not watching from a distance, in it.
Now the clock, because the clock is the whole story. The Senate is trying to move this before everyone leaves town for the August recess, and that window closes August 7th. Lummis has said a new draft of the bill could be going around within days, with a floor vote possibly as soon as next week. Days. After years of soon. Sit with that for a second. And look, I'm gonna keep it real, because that's the deal we have. This meeting by itself doesn't make anything law. There's one last knot to untie, and it's a tough one. We'll get to it. But when the President of the United States personally clears his afternoon to help untie a knot, you don't do that for a lost cause. You do that when you can smell the finish. Maybe you're thinking, okay, a bill, a meeting, some senators, what does any of this have to do with my XRP? Fair. Honestly, fair. Here's the answer, everything. For years, XRP sat under a cloud nobody could clear. One agency treated it like a security, another hinted commodity, and holders just sat in the gray, owning a coin that Washington refused to define. Ripple, the company tied to XRP, spent 4 years in court with the SEC fighting over one question. What is XRP legally? 4 years. That's what confusion cost in this industry. If you've held XRP through the last few years, you know the exact feeling I'm talking about. The waiting, the any day now, the headlines that fired you up and then went nowhere. This is the first time in a long time that the waiting has a real deadline stapled to it. And that is the whole point of the Clarity Act. The entire bill exists to kill that confusion, to finally answer who's in charge and what the rules are. It draws the line between what's a security under the SEC and what's a digital commodity under the CFTC, the friendlier, more predictable regulator that watches markets like gold and oil. You see why XRP people should be leaning in? Clarity isn't paperwork. Clarity is the green light. It's the moment the big money, banks, funds, payment giants, the institutions sitting on billions, stop saying, love the tech, can't legally touch it, and actually starts building. Ripple's own leaders have been warning that leaving this thing half done keeps regular users exposed and keeps America stuck. Clarity is the door. And for the first time in years, there's a hand on the handle.
Let me make that concrete, because regulatory clarity sounds like a phrase a lawyer falls asleep to. So, picture it plainly. Clear rules are what let a big US bank finally say yes to building on XRP's rails instead of hiding behind compliance says no. Clear rules are what opened the door to more spot ETFs, the exact kind of product that pulled a wall of money into Bitcoin. Clear rules are what turned XRP from that coin that was stuck in a lawsuit into a regulated digital commodity with a defined lane. None of that is a promise about price, it's about the plumbing, and the plumbing is what everything else gets built on top of. Now here's where it gets human, because behind the bill are people, with pressure and deadlines and a lot to lose. Let me introduce the players. Start with Trump. He's pushed for this publicly, and he frames it big, as part of a race with China over the future of finance and even AI. He said he wants a framework that can't just get ripped up by crypto's enemies later. So him showing up in person today? That's not a photo op, that's weight. And here's a tailwind almost nobody's connecting to this. The Federal Reserve has a brand new chair, Kevin Warsh, in the seat since May, and he keeps saying he wants a central bank that's focused on the future. He's even started task forces looking at how new tech and AI reshape the economy. A forward-looking Fed, a president pushing crypto rules, a Senate racing a deadline. Read the room. The wind's blowing one way.
Okay, that last knot. The thing still jamming the bill is called the ethics provision. Plain English? It's about stopping senior government officials from holding personal crypto business interests. Some Democrats have said, flat out, no strong ethics language, no votes. And here's the math that makes today tense. This needs 60 votes in the Senate. Republicans can't get there alone. They need Democrats. So today is really about finding a deal everyone can stomach. And honestly, I don't hate that this part is hard. The sticking point is a real one. Nobody should want a law where the people writing the rules can quietly cash in on them. That's a fair thing for both sides to fight over. It's also the last big thing standing between us and a floor vote. So today isn't about starting that conversation. It's about closing it. Quick one, and I actually want your answer. Did you know the Clarity Act already passed the House and cleared the Senate committee before today? Type yes or no in the comments. I read them. And I want to see how many of you have been here since the beginning. Because it's true. July 2025, the House passed it, and not by a hair, by a real bipartisan margin. This past May, through the Senate Banking Committee. Every hurdle so far cleared. What's left is the Senate floor. That's the exact door today's meeting is trying to open. And here's where I break from the crowd. Right now, prediction markets put the odds of this getting signed into law this year at around a coin flip. Actually, a little under. Most people hear a number like that and go, see, it probably won't happen. I hear it and think the exact opposite. A bill that started as a total long shot has clawed its way up to a coin flip, and it's still climbing, with the president in the room. That's not a reason to shrug. That's a setup. And I'll be straight with you. I've watched enough big weak moments fizzle to know better than to bet the house on a single afternoon. But I've also watched enough of them quietly become the thing everyone later swears they saw coming. This one has the ingredients. And if you think this is only an American story, that's exactly where most people get it wrong. Zoom out with me, because the rest of the planet is already moving. Yesterday, Japan did something that should wake every XRP holder up. Japan's parliament passed a law that reclassifies crypto, pulling digital assets into their main financial products framework, treating them as seriously as traditional financial instruments. Read it twice. One of the biggest, most cautious economies on earth basically said, crypto is real finance now. And Japan isn't some lonely outlier. This is the pattern of the last couple years. One serious economy after another, quietly deciding crypto isn't a phase to wait out. It's an asset class to regulate. When the cautious ones start moving, the fence sitters notice. This is the part the chart crowd keeps missing. Country by country, the walls are coming down, and every time a big economy gives crypto a legal home, the pressure on the US ratchets up, because nobody in Washington wants to be the reason America got left behind, while the future of money got built somewhere else, in someone else's currency, on someone else's rails. Now, tie it back to XRP. XRP was never really about noise. It was built for a job, moving money across borders, fast and cheap, which is exactly what a slow, clunky, expensive global system is starving for. Think about what that actually means for a second. Settling a payment across the world in seconds for a fraction of a cent, instead of days and fat fees bouncing through a chain of banks. But that only matters at scale if the law says institutions are actually allowed to use it, which is the exact thing being hammered out in that room today. See how it all connects? So when Japan modernizes, when America inches toward clarity, when the walls fall one by one, you're not just watching headlines, you're watching the world quietly pave the roads a network like XRP was built to run on. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. So the real question, what do you actually do with all of this? Not tomorrow, right now, today, while the story's still being written. Here's my honest take, and it's got nothing to do with chasing green candles. The sharpest people in the space aren't glued to the price today, they're glued to the process. They watch 3 things, and starting now, so can you. 1. Watch for that new draft Lummis promised. When the text drops, the details, especially the ethics language, will quietly tell us whether the votes are actually there. 2. Watch the calendar. Burn August 7th into your brain. That deadline is the pressure cooker. If momentum happens, it happens in this window. 3. Watch the tone coming out of today's meeting. Do senators walk out saying a deal's close, or do they walk out stuck? That'll tell you more than any price prediction ever will. And past those 3? Breathe. Stay curious, stay steady, and don't let anybody online scare you or greed you into a dump move. We've waited years for this. We might be watching the last stretch of that wait play out live. That's not a reason to panic. It's a reason to pay attention like never before.
And if you're newer here and all of this feels like a lot, that's completely okay. You don't need to memorize every clause of a 300-page bill. You just need to get the shape of what's happening. Rules are coming, the world is moving, and XRP is standing in a doorway it waited years to reach. Because here's the quiet beauty of being early. You get to understand the story before the crowd even knows there is one. Let's bring it home. Today, inside the White House, the president and a room full of senators are wrestling with the one word this industry has begged for since day one: clarity. The House passed it. A Senate committee cleared it. Japan just modernized. A future-focused Fed is settling in. The whole world is inching forward. And XRP is sitting right in the middle of a story, way bigger than any candle. Do I know how today ends? No. Nobody does. And anyone who swears they do is lying to you. But I know this. The people who win here, over and over, aren't the loudest or the luckiest. They're the ones who showed up early, kept their head, and actually understood the game while everyone else was asleep. Today, that's you. If this helped you see the bigger picture, you already know where you belong. Right here, with people who'd rather learn and win together than get hyped and played apart. This is Crypto with BHW. Thanks for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious, stay hopeful, and let's keep winning together.